obviously the whole point of the show is to change people's perceptions here. So if
Mm-hmm.
there's anybody that is watching this and doesn't know anything about game development and they
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, it's probably really easy. Like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but I'm sure it's easier than that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've kind of shared that it's not that easy.
Yes.
Um, in what ways would you like to change the perception of video game design and overall just video games in general?
I would just say that video games are just as good of a storytelling medium as, shows or books or movies. They do have the ability to impact people's life greatly. That's why a lot of people play them. There's that social factor where, in some games and in most games you can, connect with your friends, or, you can talk to your friends about the game. And then there's that emotional factor of,
Hmm.
you playing the game, and, you're going through that character's journey and just seeing, the ups and downs, and, what it takes to, reach your goal, whatever that goal may be in the game.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a valid storytelling medium.
Valid, yes.
Yes. Because a lot of people see games and they think, oh, it's just for kids, but, you can learn a lot from it.
Hmm.
I would say to specifically the girls that are maybe interested in getting into game development or in the tech industry, there is space for you. I'm proof, of it. Yeah, no, like if you're interested in the industry, there is space for you there, and you can make it. If if you're passionate about something, it can be done. If there's a will, there's a way.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say that. And I would also say that the perception also needs to change on just the tech or the creative world being
Hmm.
a valid career path, because like
Okay.
you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of people will say like, oh, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. And thankfully, like my parents,
Real job.
yeah,
Yeah.
real jobs,
Yeah.
yes. And thankfully my parents, have been very supportive, even though my mom, she's an immigrant from Jamaica.
Hmm.
And so she's not, it's not common there to like, major in game design, but she has been very supportive of, me being a game designer and pursuing my path because it's what I love to do. But
Hmm.
some people aren't that lucky, and they get a lot of hate, and they're forced to do something that
Yeah.
they don't want to do. So I would just love for, people to just be more educated. There is money to be made, if that's so there's money to be made for sure
Yeah.
in game design and in game development. And yeah, it's just a very awesome, yeah, it's an awesome like space to be in.
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like, from what you've been saying, is that
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like there's a little bit of opportunity for a little bit of a niche for just about everybody. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
not good at something here, but you're good at, say,
Yes.
like rigging or something like that,
Yes.
then you can be the rigger. If you're not really good at
Exactly.
rigging, then you can do, like, say, like the concept art and the character models. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's also sounds like there's a little bit of opportunity, like
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. It's not just like so one and
Yes,
done.
exactly. And that's the other thing. Some people say that the like if you want to get into game development, you have to develop the whole game yourself. You can. You can.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a
Yeah.
while. And there's one hit like, wonders, I guess, or like, there are popular, solo developers that have made a name for themselves because they developed the whole game by themselves. The most like notable being like Stardew Valley. Like
Yeah.
that guy, he made the sound, the assets, he programmed the whole thing.
Hmm.
But that's very rare for you to be skilled in every single corner.
Hmm.
So you don't have to be um, just know everything to create a game. There's, yeah, like you said, there's specific rules that you can focus on. Maybe you're
Hmm.
just good at art, and so you want to create concept art for games. You can do that,
Yeah.
and that's translatable. It doesn't have to be just with games. You can do it for movies.
Hmm.
You can do it for, animated films,
Yeah.
and the same thing with rigging. Rigging, we need 3D models not just in games, but also they use it for, Zootopia 2 that just came out.
Yeah.
That was a rigger. I know somebody that actually was a lighting artist that, he
Wow.
did the lighting and for Zootopia 2. Like he helped out with a few scenes there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so there's opportunities for like everyone. If you're just into like maybe a specific thing, then there's chances are there's something for you there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Should have gone into game development. It is a real job, Dad.
Yes. Yes.
um,
Mhm.
I do want to kind of turn the attention though, unfortunately, to the sort of negative side that video
Mhm.
games has.
Yes.
Um, I personally am on the side of that. I don't think violent video games necessarily are the root cause for some violent behavior that we do see.
Mhm.
I think there's a whole mix of things.
Right.
Correlation does not always mean causation.
Station, yes.
Um, so I'm a firm believer in that. So I guess I just want to get your take on, um, with a lot of violent video games out there, do you think that they can be part of a cause or are maybe a root cause to violent behavior or not really?
I would say no, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that it depends on, the game is just like a medium, just
Mm-hmm.
like how movies are a medium, so somebody can take that medium and use it to support their ideology,
Mm-hmm.
so, and that, obviously is, that's on that person, so yeah, people can use games to support their crazy ideology, and it does happen, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in the same way, like people can, see a movie that's about like, fighting, or a horror movie, and then they want to act that out. So it's not
Yeah.
necessarily that that games are the cause of, or I'd say violent video games in the
Mm-hmm.
sense are the cause of violent, people doing violent things, but somebody can, I believe that somebody can obviously like use it to support
Mm-hmm.
their medium. So I feel like that's where the discussion should be focused on, not that
Right.
video games are just inherently evil and you shouldn't play them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also I like to play shooters,
Yeah.
but but I can separate, my like, fiction from reality, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no bone in my body that wants to do anything harmful to anyone. But somebody,
Yeah.
can play a shooter that's, maybe more realistic, and they can
Mm-hmm.
use it to, support their ideology. And
Right.
again, then that would be on that person, not the game.
Right,
So
because
that's
you would have to ask, like, what was the intent behind the
right.
game and the developer?
Right,
Did they
exactly.
make it with violent
Right,
intentions?
exactly. And that's the other part to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other developers, so yeah, developers, um can't like as I've explained, like game development is a very intentional medium,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yes, there can be like bugs and things that happen that we don't expect, but at least when it comes to the story and, putting assets in, like that
Mm-hmm.
is all very intentional. So there is room for, like, yeah, developers can make games that are purposely violent, or, that can, promote like harmful behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that can be also on the developer, yeah, as well. So that also is like another part to it, but thankfully there's at least regulations on a lot of platforms on,
Yeah.
what you can put on, their platforms. So like with Xbox or Nintendo Switch, like if your game is promoting, has not safe for work stuff, or promoting like violent behaviors, they'll usually take it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another aspect to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know Nintendo, they are
Hmm.
very selective of
Yes,
M-rated games that go on their platform. And I
exactly.
don't think I've seen Nintendo put an M-rated game up there in I don't know how long.
Exactly. I don't even know if there is
I don't exactly. I don't
rated
even know if
games
there is. Yeah.
game on there. Yeah, so I'd say like, the popular platforms that we see are pretty good at like taking down any games that would
Mm-hmm.
encourage that behavior. So it is twofold. Like developers can use their games to promote violent behaviors, and then, a person also can use a game to promote their or to support their ideology.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is all, again, falls on that person, not
Right.
necessarily, the game itself.
Gotcha.
Mm.